Okay, lesson 10.6, we are going to do more factoring, but it's a little bit different this time. This is what we call AC factoring. But before we get into the new type of factoring, let's do a quick review of what we learned in 10.5, which was just factoring regularly. So we're going to make our x, we're going to put -9 up top, 20 on the bottom, and we're going to list the factors of 20. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5, okay? So I noticed and I asked myself, which ones add, because 20 is positive, to give me 9? So I noticed, okay, 4 and 5. And what do 4 and 5 have to be because 9 is negative? They both have to be negative. So I'm going to have x minus 4 times x minus 5. All right, so let's look at the next one over here. What number am I going to put up top? -1, because there's an understood one there. -30. So list the factors of 30. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. So I ask myself, what is 30, positive or negative? Negative. So I'm looking for the ones that subtract to give me 1. So I look down my list. Okay, 5 and 6. Now, is 1 positive or negative? It's negative, okay? So I'm going to assign that negative to my larger number, and then my smaller number gets the opposite sign, which is positive. So it's going to be x plus 5, x minus 6. Next problem. Positive 4 up top, negative 12 on bottom. 1 times 12. 2 times 6, 3 times 4. I asked myself, okay, which ones subtract to give me 4, because 12 is negative. So 2 and 6. So I write my 2 and my 6. So since they subtract, one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. I look to the 4, and I know it's positive, so that has to go with my biggest number, which is 6. 2 gets the negative, so x minus 2 times x plus 6. Okay, now the next problem here. 13 goes up top, 40 goes on bottom. So 40, I list the factors. 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. And there's not any more. So which ones add, because 40 is positive, to give me 13? Oops, I'm sorry, I did forget one. Which one did I forget? No, I'm sorry, I did not. I was thinking 9 times 4, but that's not right. Okay, so which ones add to give me 13? 5 and 8. And because 13 is positive, they're both going to be positive. X plus 5 and x plus 8 is my answer. Okay, so that was our review over factoring. Now, with AC factoring, look what is different here. I have 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. What do you notice that's different than the problems that we had before? Now, instead of just an x squared, there is a number out in front of the x squared. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take an account to that, and that's going to give me 2 extra steps, okay? We call this bottoms up, all right? So I'm going to start my problem just like I always do. Make my x, my b goes up top and as 11, but I'm not going to just put c on the bottom in 5, because what are the factors of 5? 1 times 5. Do those ever add to give you 11? No, so that doesn't work. What we do is we have to multiply a times c. That's why we call it AC factoring. So a times c, 2 times 5 is 10, and that is the number that I put on the bottom. So we go 11 goes straight down, 2 times 5, 10 goes on the bottom. So now I'm going to list the factors of 10. 1 times 10, 2 times 5. Which ones add, because C is positive, so we still look at that. to give me 11, 1 and 10. Okay, 11 is positive, so it's positive 1, positive 10. So I write x plus 1 times x plus 10. But this is not my final answer, because if you FOILed that out, you would not get 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So this is where the bottoms up comes in. I take a, okay, here's my a right here, and I'm going to divide each of these by a. One of them is going to divide and give you a whole number, and the other one is going to stay a fraction. So I look, 1 over 2, does that divide to give me a whole number? No. So this 2 goes bottoms up. So I take the 2, and I'm going to put it out in front of the x, and I'll do that in a second. And then look at this one, 10 divided by 2. Does that give me a whole number? Yes. So bottoms up, so it's going to be 2x plus 1. So all I did was I took the 2, put it in front of the x, and I kept the plus 1. And then I'm going to leave x plus what's 10 divided by 2? 5. So here is my answer. Okay, now let's FOIL it out just to double check. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 5 is 10x. 1 times x is 1x. 1 times 5 is 5. 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So, does it match up with the original? Yes, it does. So I know I'd have the right factors. Okay? Okay, so let's do some more practice with factoring. All right? So we're going to start off the exact same way. We're going to make our x. We're going to drop down, and negative 2 is going to go up at the top. But then on the bottom, and I'm not going to put 8, I'm going to put 6 times negative 8, which is negative 48. It goes down there on the bottom. So I list the factors of 48. 1 times 48, 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. Okay? So I'm going to ask myself, same exact question, which one subtract, because the c is still negative, to give me 2? So I look down my list. Which ones are going to subtract to give me 2? Okay, 6 and 8. So I put my 6 here and my 8 here. Now, because it's a subtraction, one's got to be positive, one's got to be negative. So I look at 2. Since 2 is negative, the negative goes to the 8, positive goes to the 6, and I write x plus 6 times x minus 8. Now, here's where people stop because they think they're done. But remember, bottoms up. So what number am I going to divide by? A. Well, what's A? 6. So we're going to divide each of these by 6. One's going to reduce to a whole number, and one's going to stay a fraction. So I look, 6 divided by 6, that's my whole number. So it's going to be x plus 1. Look at the next problem here, okay? What we want to do is we want to leave it just like it is. You say, wait a second, but it'll reduce. I know, but we don't want to reduce it, not on this case. We do bottoms up, 6x minus 8. And here are my factors, just like this. Okay, and you can FOIL to double check. So now let's look at the next problem. Positive 4, but because there's an a there, I multiply. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. So I'm going to write 21. I'm going to list the factors of 21. 1 times 21, 3 times 7. Which ones subtract to give me 4? 3 and 7. Since 4 is positive, the 7 is positive, 3 is negative. So I do x minus 3, x plus 7. Bottoms up, so I divide each one of these by 3. The first one is going to simplify, so we're going to do x minus 1. Bottoms up to the second, 3x plus 7. Okay, let's do some more. So I make my x. 7 is up top. 2 times 3 is 6. So I list the factors of 6. 1 times 6, 2 times 3. I ask myself which ones add to give me 7, 1 and 6. Since 7 is positive, that means they're both going to be positive. X plus 1 times x plus 6. Now, bottoms up, so I'm going to divide each of these by 2. One's going to simplify. One is going to go bottoms up. So the first one here, 1/2. I know it does not simplify, so we do 2x plus 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so x plus 3. Okay, next one. -7 goes up top. 5 times 2 is 10. So I list the factors of 10. 1 times 10, 2 times 5. Which ones add to give me 7? 2 and 5. But I look, 7 is negative, so I have to remember 2 is negative, 5 is negative. So we're going to do x minus 2 and x minus 5. So now bottoms up, I divide each of them by 5. Remember, we always divide by the number that is a. So that's how I'm choosing these numbers to divide by. I don't want you to wonder where they're coming from. Okay, 2 divided by 5, nope, doesn't simplify. So that's my bottoms up, 5x minus 2. 5 divided by 5 simplifies to 1. So this is my answer. Okay. Okay, here's some more practice for us. All right, I'm going to make my x. So I have -14, and I'm going to multiply. 4 times -30 is -120. So yes, I am going to have to list the factors for 120. So 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times, what's 120 divided by 5? 25. 24, sorry, 24. 6 times 20. Okay. So let's stop there. And let's ask ourselves, which ones subtract to give me 14? Which ones subtract to give me 14? So I go down my list, 20 minus 6. So I write 20 and 6. Since 14 is negative, the 20 becomes negative, the 6 becomes positive. So I'm going to do x minus 20 and x plus 6. And I'm going to divide each of these by 4. One will divide, one won't. So x minus 5, because 20 divided by 4 is 5. And then bottoms up with 4x plus 6. Okay, next one. 2 up top, -24 on bottom. So I'm going to have 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. All right. Which ones are going to subtract to give me 2? 6 and 4. Now, because 2 is positive, that means my 6 has to be positive, 4 is negative. So x minus 4 and x plus 6. And I'm going to divide each of these by 8. But time out. We've never had this problem before. Do either one of these divide into a whole number? 4 divided by 8? No. 6 divided by 8? No. So when that happens, we have to reduce the fractions and go bottoms up on both. So what is 4 over 8? It's technically 1 over 2. What's 6 over 8? 3 over 4. So now that I have that, I just do bottoms up on both. So it's going to be 2x minus 1 and 4x plus 3. So anytime you run into a problem like that, we reduce both fractions because neither one of them can be written as a whole number and go bottoms up on both. Okay? This is your homework, so I want you to go ahead and get started on that.